Alrighty.
We're going to turn this
here
into
we are.
transparent. Hey!
Talk Story, episode 32. Here we are at First Surf Shop. It is August 31st, and I'm Brad Wells. I've got over here
Christian De La Iglesia,
And
First
in the
Surf
middle.
Shop.
And I'm Dave L., local artist, born and raised in Miami. These wonderful gentlemen that I've known for a little bit of time invited me tonight, and I'm happy to be here.
Show is yours.
great
Let's go ahead and
intro,
bring them
We didn't
on.
even
You know what?
prep
We're out of
you.
here. Bradley.
how to
Yeah,
do
the
this.
Question
teleprompter
yourself.
broke, but I'm
we
still
got it.
trying to work it out here.
That was a great intro. Yeah, so here we are at First Shop. We got Caleb on the AV, Keegan doing, well,
Cartwheels.
somewhat intern type stuff, which is really mostly not much of all. He's quite concerned with this.
And he's doing a great job.
He's doing a great job with this.
Doing
doing a
a
great
phenomenal job.
I
We got close to our episodes and our dates
know, it'd
being
be
really
nice.
close.
If today was August 32nd and this was episode 32, we'd be right on the money. But
It's true.
unfortunately, there's not 32 days in a month, so
Not this
Go
year.
ahead and nix
this
that
year.
plan. My OCD will flare up.
You
for
know
yet another
what?
month.
It's August 32nd. Let's just say it is.
Today is August 32nd. This is episode 32.
Welcome to this new day,
Welcome
everyone.
to this new day.
Apparently a new planet.
Good morning. Weekly happenings. We heard this new song on the Instagram. It's an overlay. It does with some baby sharks and does a lot of
Got
at the end.
snorkels on.
Snorkels. It's very catchy. I don't recommend you do it unless you want it in your head for the rest of the night.
As it is
Highly,
now.
I
But we
highly
don't know what
recommend
it's
it, I'm
called,
just
so
saying.
good luck finding
It's
it.
called.
Right.
It's called Baby Shark.
And it was on Facebook actually. If you go on
Oh, it's on
Facebook,
Facebook.
if you want to, here, I'll help you out here. It's on Facebook Live,
We have our
and
whole
apparently
menu.
there is a filter on there where you have little baby sharks around you and a snorkel.
It's a really
And,
good time.
And apparently I hit that by accident.
And we
had
loved
that,
it.
We had the
And
great
I
tunes.
think it's
and
a
it
new
was-
thing.
Could be our new intro.
Yeah, I think we went every
I
time.
mean, we are a kid-friendly show.
We're already talking about purchasing the rights, I think.
I'm just gonna do that at the end of every word and phrase at this point.
It's going to be a really good time.
Mana.
Yeah, that is
That's
exactly
a good one. That's where it's at. That's where you got me.
Weekly happenings.
What do we got going on?
Well, last week I was in Costa Rica, and Caleb
Welcome
has
back.
figured out how to get me on the TV behind us. So we do this pipe-in thing. It's actually pretty awesome. I think we gotta expand that program.
Right, because Brad Brown wants to travel more.
Yeah. No, I think
He's
we need
like,
to,
so since that worked, I should
Yeah, we should
probably go
pipe
on
in other
trips more.
people. Well, yeah,
Right.
I actually have a lot of people telling me like, don't come back, just keep staying. Like all my colleagues,
Right.
friends. It's just very weird.
Right, they're like things are running.
Oh yeah, we can get Slates. Maybe get him on.
Sure,
Just slide into his DM real quick.
no
No
big deal.
problem. But I think we could get like other shops maybe to come in
That would be
via
cool.
the feed. We stay here, they pipe in. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe we
like
can get
it.
people like guests that we've had on the show before come
Right.
back on.
right. Or
Like
even get
these-
other people somewhere else.
Yeah, like the swim week episode. They're in California
Yeah,
now. They're not
good.
going to do the show unless we can pipe them in.
That would be fun.
That'd be cool, I think.
That would be cool.
So
Right on
maybe it
that
doesn't have to be
stream.
only when those tacos. I'm
Those
burping them,
tacos.
and there's
By
a
the way, ladies
lot
and gentlemen,
of garlic.
Bradley.
Tacos and coffee, it's a
I've made
lethal
it
mix.
a point to highlight this before, but Brad makes some of the most amazing pulled pork tacos
Thank you, thank
in the
you.
world. Seriously,
seen
I'm
'em.
like, if all things fail, we're opening up our full-on little taco shop.
I think we could make at least 10
And I'm
bucks a
already
day.
selling them on the art in my mind, you know, so. Oh, and I just did it out loud. That's amazing.
LOL.
Boom! That's what happens when you have creatives around. Amazing. So weekly happenings that we're opening a taco/art shop soon. It's all happening.
Get your art gear and your tacos.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Fulfill all of your creative and stomach needs.
And stomach needs.
How was
Nutrition and
how was Costa Rica, Mr. Wells?
so good. I really like just getting away from it all, so to speak. Focusing on things like the tide, the wind, the swell forecast, what that
Sleep
month-
schedule.
Where were you?
Uh,
Exactly.
I was way down south, near the Panamanian border. I'd like to really not talk about too much about spots and stuff because everyone can find their own way, but there's very long left point breaks down there. And,
Hint, hint.
Yeah, I mean, you can figure it out with the map.
It's
and
okay.
the
It's
Google
backside
search.
from me. Yeah.
Close to Panama, really long bluffs,
Figure it
Any
out.
long rights in your
Yeah,
journeys?
there is.
right across the bay.
Yeah, you can go to this other place across the body of water there.
Nobody knows about
it.
No one knows anything about it. It's not an
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But I
I
tell
see
you
what I'm
what,
dealing with.
It is a long drive, and that kind of makes it in a way. You know, you get down there.
Totally worth it. Yeah.
There's like less people because it's a kind of pain in the neck to
It
get
is.
down to. And once you get down there, it's just you gotta slow down, and nothing's gonna happen fast, and nothing's supposed to.
Oh,
It's hard almost to like put yourself into that. Like, oh, perfect example. So we plan out where we're gonna surf based on the tides, and because everybody I'm with is like from Miami or from metropolitan areas in the States, they're all like, all right, we gotta get there early, we gotta go, 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 go. And we'd show up like 2 hours before the tide was supposed to be there, and we'd show up and there'd be no waves. And be like, well, of course there's no
Whose
waves.
idea was this?
We got here too early. So the tide was gonna be perfect in 2 hours. So we'd go check like 400 other spots and then come
course.
back to where you're supposed to be at that time.
Right.
Lo and behold, it would work.
Meanwhile,
so it was a lot
there's
of
like
that.
car
Yeah.
fatigue that sets in after 2 hours.
can we just
See, it's-
stop it? That's
right.
marginal. It's fine. Let's just get wet.
That's just
yeah.
right. Yeah. So there's some of that, but you know, that's like the fun of it.
Yeah.
So I usually just pick the places I'm going to surf by my board shorts. I'm just like, all right, well, these board shorts,
You
kind of
do
boat
that.
for this little spot over here.
Interesting.
Or I'm going to go over here, you know, I'm going to wear these shorts. Totally kidding.
Do
about
they
it.
like match the background
He's
while you're
like
in the water?
He says he's kidding. He's not kidding.
I'm not kidding. That's
You-
what happens when you have 20
You just
some
never
odd
know
pairs
when
of
somebody's
boardies.
out there with a telephoto lens making you famous.
You know?
And you gotta have the right shorts for the moment. Gotta have the right
True.
shorts for the
That's
moment.
true.
Past that,
other than that-
that's the past. Things coming up in the future. We
Yeah.
have a little fiesta
I heard about this.
this Sunday.
Oh,
be
what's
good.
It's
going on?
Labor Day weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Don't know if you know. It is an extended weekend, so please go out there and enjoy responsibly. But if you're going to be irresponsible, swing by Sunday to the mini
to
bar.
tempt yourself to irresponsibility.
There's a fun little bar called Mini Bar south of Fifth. That's super cool. We're doing a little barbecue.
barbecue.
We'll have some surf flicks on, and we'll be dancing in between the rain showers.
Sounds like fun.
And there should be some
Incredible.
surf as well, so that should be kind of fun.
Segway? Are we segueing?
That's where I'm going. 'Cause we got nothing
there you
else.
go, coming
We got
around the
nothing
corner.
else. So this Sunday,
Yeah, we
On
have
a segue.
segway.
That doesn't rhyme.
this Sunday starts at 4 p.m. Mini Bar south of Fifth. Come by
Check it out.
Free high fives from this guy.
all day.
Just
Free.
I'll
day.
be
They're
flipping
usually
some
pretty
might
burgers and
expensive.
switch it
stuff.
up. Go lefty every now and then. Just
Those are rare. You want to collect those.
What are we
Anything
switching
else,
up
guys?
again?
Dave, you doing any like exhibition
yeah,
shows,
actually,
gallery stuff? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm actually working on something big with the.
Something big.
Something big.
This guy does
Are
big
you
things.
breaking
only.
it here?
Does big
Here it
things.
comes.
Everybody, listen up. What is it?
Hello? Oh, no, sorry. I thought this was her.
New number. Who dis?
Hello? No, so I'm doing a collaboration with the Surfing Florida Museum in downtown West Palm Beach.
How cool is that?
It's pretty amazing.
So cool.
They gave me a sneak peek of like what's going down in there, and I could talk about some things, you
All
know,
right.
but I can't talk about what I'm actually doing besides a mural and painting on some older boards like natural art and like
Wow,
very old
super
like
cool.
WRVs and like
Wow.
I don't know, all kinds of fun stuff.
You know what I
right?
think should happen? We should cover that.
Oh, we
Absolutely.
totally should.
You guys
Yeah.
are invited. So are
Yes.
you.
Going mobile.
When is this supposed to go down?
So I'm starting a mural for them next weekend. So starting the 8th and 9th of September. And I'm really looking forward to it.
How long is it going
It's
to take you to
like,
do this mural?
Probably a day and a half, 2 days, probably.
That's
you
a
know,
lot of hours.
as long as they move all the vintage boards out of the way and I could use spray paint, then
Yeah.
1.5 days, if not like a
Nothing
week.
worse than a little overspray on a vintage board.
Yes. Oh no, it's fine. It's fine.
Somebody just give me a razor. It's
Let's
fine.
give me some acetone.
Just give me a razor. I got this.
That's not good.
Get a paint scraper, whatever. No big deal.
Someone got a marker?
No, it's gonna be really interesting. But a lot of the their oldest photo is from 1919, downtown West Palm, and it was some newspaper and like somewhere in Jersey covering a story about surfers catching swelling ocean. Basically, that's what it said.
Ah,
That
the
was the
terminology
caption.
back then was so good.
It was amazing. So
Watch as that
we're
wave
talking
folds.
almost 100 years ago. Somebody on a like lifeguard rescue board paddling out. And it's this amazing like super grainy black and white photo, but that's like part of what I'm painting. I'm going to paint like
Shh, don't tell it all. You're not supposed to.
a history of surfing as
Oh,
well.
he's
Oh.
breaking it here. We get
Yeah.
the scoop.
Oh, we
You
got
get
the scoop. Sorry,
I
we got
just
the
want to
scoop.
keep
I-
people
I-
Who's
like-
getting this?
Like the consultant to me, I'm like, no, hold it back. Oh, kid, hit off.
And here comes work. No,
That's awesome. That
So
sounds
I'm
How
super
really-
crazy is that? 100 years ago.
100
know.
years ago, people were surfing.
Well, I mean, just like
in Florida.
Dudley and his
The
brother,
Whitmans.
the Whitmans. I mean, those guys were doing that here
Yeah.
like 85 years ago.
Yep.
That's crazy.
It's
to think
so
about.
cool.
The 30s.
And
yeah.
there's like all this other stuff that they covered too, like this huge barge got taken by a hurricane in the 60s, and it like
Oh, I've
it
heard this
ran
story.
aground in West Palm, like I think closer to like Singer Island, somewhere around there. Ran aground and they didn't know what to do. Like we didn't have the technology that we have now to like pull it back. So there's like all these anchor lines, and what it did is it created like a left point break for like
Yes.
2 years. So
I wonder
there's
if
these
that
photos.
spot was Reef Road. Is that why it's so good now?
It's crazy. All the photos, they would have contests and everything, and like know when there would actually be surf,
Imagine.
like and be able to call it. And like it's this beautiful left point break, and you just see people taking these like long lines off of a barge, and you still see like all the anchor lines going like hundreds of feet out into the ocean.
It's like the original BSR cable park, the original wave pool. Right? Like full on wedge.
Push a tanker.
Wedge
It-
maker.
So when is
so
this all
cool.
happening? You said in September.
Well, the opening is going to be sometime in September. It's still to be determined, but
Cool.
I'll let you all know.
That sounds awesome.
That's
Are there other
pretty cool.
weekly
It's pretty cool.
happenings? Anything else you're working on?
Oh, so many things. What did I work on today? Oh, I drew lemons today. It's, so now I have that in my library.
It's quite the
That gives you
artillery.
lemons.
I was actually looking for some lemons for the tacos. I could have
Perfect.
not used your drawing of it. But,
Oh.
you know, we're on the same page. there.
We'll pass out. We have Surf Expo next week.
That's right. I want to go.
yeah.
I think I'm gonna go.
Come on down. Let's do it.
Thursday, Friday, right?
Yep.
Those are the
Clearing
better
the
days.
Yeah.
Surf
Oh, that's the
Expo.
other thing I was gonna say.
Yes.
This thing we should try to do.
Over there.
Yeah.
All right, Caleb. Want to go Orlando?
What are you doing next week?
Figure it out. We'll talk about it.
All right.
The best way to get Caleb to do stuff is on the air.
Yeah. Because it took his arm. It's like, I don't want to say no.
I can edit it out. If I say yes now, I just edit that out later.
You're good.
That guy's good.
What else? Report and forecast.
Yes, let's get into
The
that.
report has been waves.
Yeah.
Holy shnikes.
It's not in the middle of the summer. It's the tail end of the summer, but I'll still take it because
We
it's
will
technically
take it.
still summer.
Water feels like summer.
Yeah, it
And
does.
there's waves in it. So.
And the jellyfish probably feel like summer too.
A little bit, not so bad.
Jellyfish feels like
lucked
small
out
fall.
and missed out on all that.
I didn't get stung.
No,
It was-
me neither.
it-
I've seen a
and it
couple
was
on the
super
beach.
fun.
Stung a little bit.
I just have
I
I just
punched one in
hardly
the head.
surfed, so
Actually-
that's why I missed out.
I didn't see that. I want to say I
horrible.
seen him, but I didn't. A guy like 20 feet away from me got stuck, and he did one of these. Yeah! I was looking at it,
That's
I
a
was
bad
like,
one.
Are you okay? He's like, yeah! And he yelled at me more. I was like, I'm gonna get this wave that's
And then when you got on the
right at
shoreline,
us.
he kept on talking to people. "Dah!" And you're like, oh, this is the way the guy
Like,
talks.
yeah, he has lower back issues. I've been there, buddy.
Turns out he's from Jersey. No big deal.
So we've had some wind chop this last couple days.
Yeah, super fun. Lower tides, especially
Yep.
breaking over those shallow sandbars.
And by fun, we mean a foot and a half.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
like 2 feet, like, you know,
waist
waist.
high on the bomb set waist
Right,
high.
right.
Always overhead when you're laying down.
And that-
I
right.
did get a few prone ones just cause.
And that is the interesting thing with our surf is that it'll look pretty junky from the shoreline, but you get out there and there's something about the waist high that it hits that sandbar in a certain way and it's kind of
so
fun.
generous with waist high.
I know. God,
It's-
it's what
it's
happens
like-
when you
it's
grow up and live here your whole life. You're
Need
just
to-
like
It's like
need to
catching a
decide
fish.
high
It's like,
tops.
dude, it was like
the fish stories,
it's
full
huge.
on fish stories.
And the older the story, the more beers that I've had, the bigger the fish is.
But we should be seeing a little increase,
Yes.
right?
So tropical season is finally kicking back into gear, coming into the peak of hurricane season. Was it the second week, September 7th or so, September 10th, somewhere in there. And it's acted up. We've got something off the Cape Verdes. What is it? 6 investigations, tropical, whatever the hell they call it.
Right. Invest, I think it's
Invest
92 hour. I don't even know which one it is.
So
but,
we're at number 6, and that's supposed to be tropical storm Florence.
right.
Probably
Just one for the fishes.
tomorrow.
Seems like it's a storm
Florence
for the
and the
fishes.
machine.
No.
The one that's coming off the Cape Verde.
Yeah, dude.
Really, they said it was going to be just kind of hang out out there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Not for here. It's gonna. I mean, we're gonna get.
No,
crap
no,
here.
it'll generate
Tons of swell.
No, but I'm just saying in a sense of impact to land and stuff like that. It's one for the fishes where it's more of something that ships and shipping lanes have to kind of worry about in regards to weather.
We gotta get aligned on that phrase.
Right.
I don't know if it wasn't picking up.
But as far as swell goes, it should
Yes.
what? Northern
Next
Florida
week.
and Mid-Atlantic?
Next week. Yeah, so we're going
Balance
Central
the chi.
Florida, Central Florida, North Florida.
How do you think that's going to play out Central Florida with the red tide and all that going on? I was kind of wondering, like, is it the kind of thing where you have to travel north of, let's say, Melbourne?
I
hope not. My brother just moved there.
mean, I don't know how much is coming out in
Just so fun to
Sebastian
go
area.
surf there.
Right. 'Cause I feel like
I've been
Treasure
more
Coast
south.
has been
St.
getting a
Lucie
good...
has been getting the bulk of it.
Right. Something to consider. Lineups could be empty in the St. Lucie
I mean,
Treasure Coast
Like,
area.
why is it empty?
Why is everyone
Can you
paddling out
surf in
in-
a gas mask?
Yeah, I was
That
gonna
works,
say.
right?
Full on, everyone's Darth
I
Vader out there.
Hazmat suits.
If you guys need.
All right, so the report is
Yeah, you do.
waves. Forecast is more waves locally, probably increased east-southeast wind swell
Right.
as another tropical wave comes over us. Some models are forecasting it to develop slightly before it hits here. Some models developing it as it comes through the straits. Some models developing it as it goes into the Gulf. Either which way, we're going to get some increased winds, increased waves. So whatever we've had is probably going to bump up a notch or two. So more fun, kind of cruddy southeast wind stuff.
Keep it south. Keep
but
it south of us.
It's gonna be
It's fun.
terrible. Don't paddle out.
It's going to be fun. And
I like
And
the
it-
surf report.
right,
It's really,
right.
it's
really good.
And if
it's
you want to
like-
lick your wounds, swing by First Surf Shop. You know.
it's absolute crud, but it's totally rideable. And with the right attitude and the right board, it's so fun.
Barreled every day.
Yeah. I saw you actually
much
try to
sounds
get a head tip yesterday on his
So sad.
giant waist high wave. with the head tip. That was so good.
I mean, sometimes it hit those little sections where all of a
I
sudden
mean-
you get that half-second little head dip. You're like, oh, you think I got something in my eye?
If Edgar had it with his hair, it would have been a good one.
Well, that's a hair whip.
I saw his hair whip in
Oh,
one whip. It
man.
was so good.
Yes.
He did like a hair whip
Bro, you're-
behind the ear,
right,
like there. I was like,
you're a
wow,
hair
so
whip.
stylish.
Was he
That's
talking to someone
so
too?
sad.
He did it like as he was coming
About
down the
what her
line.
surfing is like around here. It's like,
Reminds me of Dazed
we're
and
judging
Confused
hair
all of a
whips.
sudden.
It was good. So yeah, actually something to look forward to in the report and forecast.
I love it.
This South Pacific, Southern Hemi kind of slowed down for the last week, probably for the next week or so. Also slow.
Another storm on the way to Hawaii?
I haven't been looking at the tropics. Is it really?
I thought I saw another storm.
They
Saw
just
some,
dodged a bullet with
Another
rain.
one? Yeah, they really did.
was-
Oh, sketchy.
yeah, I can't remember what the name is, but I know that Jerry Burdine out there had posted something about it, and I hadn't really followed it much, but
Yeah.
I heard, so like those
Somebody
guys need
actually
more waves.
contacted me in Honolulu to like fly out and go paint their gym, like paint a mural at their gym, and they're like, "Oh, but we gotta check in next week to make sure I still have a business." I was like, "Oh,
No big deal.
I'll take the paints
how
out of my
do
bag.
I respond to this?"
Well, you know what? Do you
Instagram
guys pay
message.
in pineapple
We
So,
do.
I mean-
and spam.
and spam? Yum.
You like spam and pineapple?
Like,
Yes,
Why do people not like that?
but
Alright,
they were
that's-
fine. They're fine. They're
no
fine.
more board, no more forecast, no more weekly haps. I think we've covered these topics.
I think we're good.
Sufficiently, yes.
Yes.
Moving on.
Moving onwards.
So there's
We've
this
got
thing-
Dave L in the house.
Hey,
That's this guy.
that's me.
We know him.
And that's kind of his art right behind him.
Oh, it is.
And he's also, that's him up there on the screen.
So that's what I look like right there. He's
pointing at
a
a-
mirror lately.
Wolf, if you guys can't tell.
That's right, on the podcast.
One thing that we used to do on the show every once in a while is ask people about the first time they went surfing, the first
Ah,
wave they
you're right.
caught, all that kind of stuff. I did not know Dave's story, so I decided we're gonna introduce this topic back into things, and I think we might need to leave this as like
One of the set
intro,
I
weekly
like it.
happenings, report forecast, your first surf.
Slowly but surely,
surf
we're going
is
to
always
muddle this
interesting.
out. We're going to muddle
Right?
this out. We're going to go
It's
ahead and
coming
figure out
together.
that proper
I
format.
always
a
love
good
hearing
one.
that story too. Like, what was your first surf? It's like people are like, "Oh, I caught this like 20-foot wave at First Street." It's like, no,
I like
That's a
that
great
story.
story.
It's still a great story. I'm like, yes, tell me more. How big was it?
feet. Wow.
What was
Yeah,
it?
bro. It's like
It was snowing and I
No.
walked uphill both ways.
I think our measurements on feet are a little
Wow.
different.
this is very strange.
I whittled my own board out of steel using
I-
my only teeth. Like, wow, amazing
It's funny
story.
how I started surfing. Like my older brother Danny was, like we went to the same high school together here in Miami Coral Park, and we're at the beach one day, and we'd like go to the beach like after school sometimes, like
The
towards
beach-
like
South Beach, South
yeah,
Beach?
yeah, South Beach, like right here, 2nd and 3rd Street, like everything south of 5th was always like, yeah, let's go play. I don't know, let's go play soccer. Like, and when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, man, I like really like playing soccer at the beach. And I see my brother take off with our friend who we called Broski, David Garcia. It's like, it took me forever to learn his real name. I think I learned it last week, but
Right
to me, it
after
was
Drake's
Broski.
song, you're like,
But he goes surfing with Broski, and I was just like, oh, hey, look at that. That's Broski. Oh, no. Wow, that's my brother. He just got a wave. That's awesome. Like, people are playing soccer behind me. And I remember being, like, so happy to play soccer that day after school. It was, like, freshman in high school that I see them. I'm like, no, I'm going to go over there. Like,
That looks a lot
and
cooler.
my siblings and I grew up as competitive swimmers. Like, so our whole life we've been swimming. So immediately I get out there, like, I just paddle, like, really far. He's like, hey, David, hey, just
Where
come
you going?
back.
It's
And
not
it was
like-
like
it's
a
not that
very
kind of
small
sport.
day, beach is packed, like, barely knee high, I assume. I don't even know. To me, I was like, these waves are huge. Help. But he had, like, a huge longboard. I remember, like, super thick and bulky, like, pushed me into a wave. I stood up, and I just did the, yeah, I'm doing it. And I look around, people are
Arms
like,
raised.
What is this
like,
guy
is he gonna
doing?
hit me? Like, and I was like, oh God, huh? I don't know. What do I do? I'm moving my arms, but my legs aren't doing anything. And that's how it went up
Surfing? Is this
until
surfing?
today, actually. Like, just faking it. But
nowadays it's
awesome
more
'cause
acceptable because there's a lot more people doing that. So
It's
you're
true.
just like,
It's very
I found
true.
my,
That's actually
I
like the
found my
style
tribe.
I found my people.
That's the style now.
But yeah, it's interesting because I mean I was always drawing and painting and like kind of like hiding all my artwork from everybody because I was too embarrassed to show it. Didn't think it was good enough. I didn't know if like my parents would be okay with this career decision like at such an early age. Like my dad sold insurance and my mom was a scientist, so I was just like, those are very stable jobs. What if I try to sell paintings? Yeah, no,
Son,
that's
not so
gonna-
stable.
Listen,
I'm thinking about
it's more
doing
like,
some surfing
"Oh,
and
yeah,
some
David,
painting.
Hey,
Mira,
You wanna-
you should be dentist or.
you wanna paint? Hey, I don't know, man. Or my mom like.
So is your dad
"Ay,
Tony
David,
Montana?"
it's like it's okay, but it's rudimentary at best. It's like you're talking about my painting. Yeah.
Tough crowd.
Es que it's good, pero maybe you should get a job somewhere else and then paint. And I was like so naive about it, and then I was just like, you know what? No, I'm gonna start painting surfboards. I'm gonna start painting skateboards and see
That's
if
how
it works
you
out.
got into it?
Yeah,
And that's
you
how I
was,
got into it.
Yeah, originally you were working at BC Surf Shop when you
Yeah,
got into it.
in Dolphin Mall.
Dolphin Mall.
Yeah, and
No way.
yeah, so
So you
people would
started
come in-
surfing, and so then you like combine it with the art somehow?
Yeah,
How- was that immediate?
It was. It's funny how it actually started. Like I had gone to school for graphic design immediately out of high school. Like, yeah, this is how I'll be a full-time artist. I'll go to Fulton in Orlando. And
school.
eventually, I just left. I was like, I really don't like graphic design. I just want to paint on walls, paint on skateboards, and try to figure out life. So, I was already working at BC when I was in high school. Then I go to college, come back. My brother's a manager of BC Surf and Sport. I'm like, hey, could I work there too? He's like, I don't. Yeah, whatever. Just come in one day. Let's see if it works out. Come in and I like immediately. My brother hands me this like brand new longboard and somebody had drawn a penis on it. I was like, oh, thank you. Appreciate that. They like carved it into the grip tape and I turned it into like
You're like,
mushrooms
welcome.
and waves and all this stuff with a blue paint marker. And from there, I was just like, you know what?
Fucking
If
do
I could
this.
turn that into that, like I think I could do something here. I could make it work out. And
Incredible.
no, I mean that's not really how I started. It's kind of weird, but
It's a good story.
it's a fun one. So basically, like, it was the beginning of social media. Really, like, Facebook had just started. The only way you could sign up for Facebook
2004,
was
2006.
yeah,
somewhere
like
in there.
yeah, around there. And the only way you could sign up for Facebook really was if you had a college, like .edu email address.
Oh, that's right.
Originally, that's
So
right.
I still
that's
had
right.
mine, and I was like, oh, let me just, I'm not at the school anymore, but let me just
I got
start a
that email.
Facebook. I'm like taking all these photos of my artwork. Let me upload them, see what happens. So when people would come into the shop, I'd be like, hey, oh, you're buying a skateboard today, huh? Like, no, yeah, just the grip. It's like, comes out to $535 with tax. I still have that embedded in my brain.
It's true. We sold it for $6.
I'd be like, hey, but if you pay like $10 cash to me, I could paint it for you. And people were like, but what can you paint? And I really didn't know anything at the time, and I was just like, anything. Try me. And they'd be like, okay, look, mira, this is my son. Can you paint his face? And I was just like,
Man,
oh. Do you have like a dog or something? I'm much more I could get away with a lot more on an animal. I don't want to insult you, your child, but I'd still try. I mean, people would ask for Lil Wayne and Jay-Z. I was just like, what?
meanwhile, the dad's like, it's okay, man. His face is like a dog. It's cool. It's the same.
Oh, man, that's great. He looks purple to me anyway. It's like, sorry, all I had was purple, magenta, and black. I'm sorry. That's the only paint markers I could afford at the time.
It's cool. It's like he's retro. It's fine.
I could buy one more paint marker now. But that's how I kept going. Eventually, I started taking like commissions for
He
grip
looks
tape.
purple to me.
Yes. A lot of weird things happen over there. But basically, like, I eventually tell my brother, like, hey, I'm actually starting to get busy with all this grip tape stuff. I might, like, take it on full time. He's like, yeah, you gotta stop doing it while you're on the clock, man. Like, you just gotta stop. It's like,
Double
all right.
dipping.
So I call the owner, Bruce, and I'm like, hey, is it okay if I paint while I'm on the clock? Like, when it's slow? And he's like, yeah, as long as everything else is taken care of. So I'd look around like, sure, let me fold that one. Hey, customer, you good? Yeah? No? You good now? All right, good. Go paint, you know? So, and then I made a deal with my
What's
brother.
that? I can't hear you.
I'll be right back. What? You did? You know? So my brother eventually, like, we negotiated a deal like, hey, every time I make money selling grip tape at the shop on the side for cash, I'll buy you lunch. And he's like, what? Okay, do whatever you want. Like, no more than $6 though, man. But, you know, it was a really interesting time because I was learning a lot. Like, there was a bookstore at the bar closing down, so I would just go buy books on, like, human anatomy or, like, flowers in Europe in the 1800s or, you know, like, dinosaur encyclopedia for kids. Like, and I would just look at it and be like, oh, that's a cool velociraptor. I'm going to draw it. Like,
So
and
would-
today
would-
I have a velociraptor claw. Would you like to buy it for $20?
Would you say that what sort of influences has shaped what you're doing up until this point? Has it always been relatively the same since you started, or has something actually kind of, because I've seen a lot of your murals. There are a lot of, you know, environmental stuff, animals and whatnot, of the ocean. Is that based on inspiration of just who you are, what your relationship is with the ocean, the environment, or was there something that kind of you gravitated towards and that kind of, you know, was your medium to kind of follow along the way?
Well, it's interesting you asked that because, I mean, as an artist, you're so many things that you can label, right? Like, you're a researcher, you're a scientist, you're like into math all of a sudden because you have to figure out dimensions, you have to figure out like what paint to use, all these
Right,
different kinds of
absolutely.
things. But then, like, art is when you make it a story, each piece, right? Like, giving a voice to the voiceless, which is like a paper that you drew on or like a wall that you painted on. Like, have people engaged and intrigued about it to inspire or not, whatever, you know, like whatever people take from it. So I feel like I would get inspired by so many things and so many people, but most of all, like, the world is my teacher, right?
Right.
So, and I say that often because it's like, whether somebody like disparages you, they're like, dude, that sucks, and you're like, wow, hey, all right, cool, you know, thank you.
Thank
Now
you.
I know. Or people are like,
Now I
yo,
know.
that is like the dopest thing I've ever seen in my life, bro. That's some guy in Kendall. Like,
That was a good
Like-
Kendall impression.
or Westchester, where I'm from, is the same.
Right.
And and both of those things can be inspirational if you look at it the right way, right?
Sure.
But then also there's like, for the longest time I was like, I don't know about collaborating with other artists. They're all part of these graffiti crews that like all of a sudden get in fights with other crews. Like, I'm not interested in that. I just
Right.
want to paint.
It's like,
Like,
warrior.
like people in the crews would be like, hey, my brother's like, nah, man, I'll go paint, but like, I don't want to like jump those guys. I don't know, it's
Right.
weird. I just don't.
How did you guys tie those two together exactly? I'm confused.
Right.
But you know,
Turf wars.
it's part of like everything. Like, surfing has that, skateboarding
Right.
has that. You know, like
Turf
crews get
wars a
together.
little bit,
Turf
right,
wars,
yeah.
exactly. But my favorite thing lately is just like working with other artists and learning from them, and like me teaching them maybe something too, because all of that just lifts everybody up. And like, in Miami specifically, there's so many opportunities for artists. Like, it's just like Winwood, the monster that we created, It can be beautiful. It can be like very draining to society too. But
How do you mean? I'm very out of tune with that. So this
well, I
seems
mean,
like it's very intimate
like
to you.
it's like I'm gonna drop the word here and now. Like it's a classic example of gentrification, right? Like over town, like
Yep.
people are just like pretty much wiped out of there because overnight it seems, and by overnight I mean a couple years.
No, it
of
doesn't
like,
doesn't just seem. It is.
It is. It's like rent skyrocketed all of a sudden. You used to be able to get like a whole warehouse as a studio for like $600, and now
Right.
it's
Yeah,
like
it would be like $1 a square foot,
16,000.
and now it's $75 to $100 a square foot. So
it's insane, you know.
right.
So like thinking about that too.
That's in
and,
like 15 years. Within 15 years,
Within
it's done
15
that.
years, that's happened, which is crazy too, you know.
And
but
with an
but it's
increase
like,
probably in the last 5 to 8 years, the most.
it feels like every week something new is popping up, you know, and like, but I feel like it's, I don't know, if you can adapt as an artist and like know the times you're living in, you could do really well in a city like this. Excuse me.
No, it's okay. I think we're all burping.
We're all burping. This
That's
coffee
it's
is
good
food.
intense.
Some cultures, it's a compliment.
Hey, compliments to the chef
Uruguayans are
over
into
here.
it.
Uruguay. I've been there.
Uruguay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I drove around the whole country in 9
Some new
days.
friends from Uruguay.
My dad's from there.
Really?
Yes.
Uruguaysha.
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 That was the word I was looking for earlier today.
Plasha?
Uruguaysha. Uruguaysha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting trip. First night in Montevideo, I went to this like bar. And it's like got these like old, like dark brown wooden floors with
A lot of old
crazy
architecture.
cracks in them. And you see like light coming through. Every now and then smoke. You're like, una cerveza.
Is that hell?
Like I just.
Am I walking over
And I'm like
hell
looking
right now?
down, and everybody's like, "Hey, just be in the moment." I'm like, "Hey, yeah, for sure." It's like, what do I do? And they're like, "Oh, you want to go downstairs?" I'm like, "Yeah." Is there a fire? Like, should we stop it? They're like, "No, it's an underground like cumbia club." And I'm like, "What's cumbia?" And they're like, "Oh, you don't know? Hey, let's throw this like Cuban American in there." And I'm like, "Ah, bueno, vamos. Like, let's go."
Let's
They
do
like
this.
they just like throw me in, and this girl that like towers over me with these like big legs just starts like throwing me around the room, teaching me cumbia with her legs, and I was just like, what? I don't know what to do. You dance merengue? No, that's weird. I don't know. It's like- but it was a really fun time.
Uruguay.
Uruguay. It's a
That's
really beautiful
interesting.
place.
So
check
go.
it out.
Wanting to tap back into this Wynwood part.
Yeah.
The artistry has gotten amazing, and it's
Yeah.
what's the coolness of the town is what drew us to open up a shop out there at Division Wynwood.
Absolutely.
And yes, I get it. There's so many purists that that were part of it from the beginning that are like, oh, this is where it became all this. A
Right.
lot of you artists had helped create that, and a lot of you artists have kind of turned your back on, not you, but some artists were like,
Right.
all right, well, this isn't as cool or as organic as it is. It's now a little more fabricated. But do artists still find Wynwood appealing? I mean, is still
It depends,
is there still
really, you know?
inspiration that's drawn
I
from
mean,
there?
I end up hanging out in Wynwood like a few times a week, just naturally, and then I'm like, oh man, I'm at a bar in Wynwood. Should I stay? Should I go? Like, it's that classic, like, man, am I like supposed to be here right now? I don't know, but like every time I'm in Wynwood, it just attracts and creates more work for everybody, really. Like, I'm not saying me alone, but like every artist like will link up at like a bar, like let's say like Gramps or like Jay Wakefield or
a
like
networking
Wood,
place.
and it's a big networking place. And like every time I go to Wynwood, I'm not sad about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, 'cause
It's a
there's
cool. It's cool. It's fun.
it
There's
is
a lot
cool.
of energy.
And what I love about Wynwood, I've always called it this too. It's like a living, breathing organism, right?
Right.
Because it's constantly changing. Like, you cannot use landmarks in Wynwood. Like, yeah, hey, meet me by the lion that has the mane that turns into a wave with a guy just getting thrown off of
By
it.
those food trucks.
Or it's by those food. I'm right by the food truck. Like, oh.
Wait,
that,
which food
that
truck place are
brewery
you
in that
at?
warehouse.
I don't know. There's like a lot of music and some crazy people walking in and out.
Look for a painted sign. I don't know.
It's next to a big, colorful mural.
There's a, you know what?
where?
It's right
On the
next
ground
to
or on
right.
the wall?
There's a bunch of poetry on the floor, spray painted. You should probably. It's right next to that one.
Geotag nod.
I'll meet you in the bathroom. It's got a lot of stickers.
Which ones? No, but I love it too. You know,
And it's still
like,
growing.
There's that, and
It's still growing.
and
It
it's
still has
constantly
a-
expanding.
Right.
Expand. Like,
But-
where's that place that you told me? Las Rosas?
Las
Yeah,
Rosas,
that's right.
yeah,
It's on 7th Ave.
Mhm.
And
That
29th.
place is cool. I love that place.
Yeah.
That's like
Super
that
cool
is
spot.
like the thing, just like expanding and like breathing outward, and maybe it'll contract again, but it's like
That's the thing.
it's like
You
a
never
breathing
know.
animal.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. It's an organism.
Right.
You know, it's
But
like
it's
the ebb
a
and flow.
weird. But it's not like it's like a weird, messed up like
It's an
bacteria.
amoeba.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. It's not like the normal like. Yeah, we're gonna replicate it and go over here, and then we'll do the same.
I believe the purists would call that cancer. It's like a cancer. Well, those that loved Winwood is what it was and where it was
You know
originally.
what?
They're like, oh,
I
it's all
remember
cancer
thinking
now.
back to like
Once the
2009 and
Goldmans got into it.
2010 in Winwood, and like working with this gallery on Second Avenue, like the main strip. And my friend Jeremy and I, like, he would come by and film, I would paint, and we would always hop on the rooftop of like any building because it was that easy. Like there were like still ladders attached to buildings in Winwood, so you'd like run up, and Art Basel would begin, and like you just see the crowd coming, and like we just sit there and be like, wow, like
Something's
there
happening.
weren't this many tens of thousands of people here yesterday. Like it was empty. I could like skate around. I could even drive and find parking. Now it's just like let's just walk, man. Like, but it's so interesting, and like as soon as Art Basel comes around, like 2 weeks to a week before, you'll pull up and you hear rattling of like spray paint cans and
right.
like the scent in the air, and it's just like
it's a big deal.
it's inspiring.
It's,
you know?
yeah,
like,
it's a cool little energy. We got to move into our Winwood spot just before Basel, a couple
That's right.
weeks, and we were kind of part of that whole process.
best time to
Yeah,
open.
we had all these. El Chupete Negro, the guy that does the black pacifier, he did on the big.
Barcelona,
He did a big thing in the back behind us, and we had
Nice.
Ginobili, this other artist that is a tattoo artist as well, out
I
at one
saw
of our
that
local
piece.
tattoo,
That one was
and he
dope.
did that like it was just so amazing that he had a picture in his hand. And this goes back into your math in regards to symmetry
Right.
and depth and how to do all these things. It blows my mind as an artist because I'm like, I'll start here. I'm like, whoa, that's just gonna look really
Just wait
bad.
a second.
Right. And he just literally had this picture, colored picture, and just has a spray can and just goes, just kind of, and does this whole wall of like these two Mayan Indians
do
just
that?
like transferring tobacco to each other. And I was just like, that is the
that
coolest thing in the
piece
world.
came out really
Yeah.
beautiful too.
Yeah.
I loved it, and it's interesting seeing that. This is why I like working with a lot of artists because you see their process too. Like for me, I still like hand draw every concept for clients. Like when I am planning out a mural, I'm like, okay, well, here's a color palette, and I'll draw it black and white, or like even fill it in with watercolor, and I have like the hand-drawn piece that I paint to scale, right? So let's say I'm painting a 2 or 3 story building, I'll go take a photo of it and draw it to scale. So I'm like, okay, there's a window here, this door's here, this fire hydrant,
crazy.
you know? And that's how I like map things out. Like I figure it out that way. So I'll go and do like, 20, 30 minutes sketching out the whole piece with like one like
That's so
half empty
crazy.
spray paint can. And from there, it's like you adjust, you do all the fills.
You do that on the wall?
Yeah. You just sketch directly
thought
on the
you were
wall.
doing that, like-
It's really fun actually when the client is watching you because they're like, you're talking, you're like, all right, cool, I'll be right back. And you just start painting on their wall. They're like, no, hey, that's cool, man.
That's.
It's like,
then there's, like,
I hope we didn't screw up. I hope we didn't screw
I'm
up.
gonna go
So
inside.
get in their
I'm gonna go
car
inside.
and like turn it on and like they're on their phone, but really they're looking at you and you're like, hey.
Like a nervous tick. They're on their phone because they're
Yeah,
just like,
and then like
I don't know what
as
else
soon
to
as
do
I
right
know they're
now.
watching, I'm like, all right, let me like do something nice, like sketch some area, be like,
Let me just,
hey,
like-
what
I
is
saw
that?
like a
And they're
disco
like-
ball comes up and he starts dancing. People are like, oh my God, what did I do? Who did I hire?
And it's like, oh man, I can't wait to see what it looks like later. It's
Actually,
just like
so
an
the higher
interesting,
part,
awkward.
that's what I wanted to get into also, is how did you go about like commercializing your work? So like deciding that you want to do this stuff because like you have like innate desire is one thing, and I guess it was the surf shop or the skate
Yeah, the
shop.
surf shop too.
It's like $10 a board or something, but like,
Or like,
how did
hey,
you
what do you
turn
have
it
in your
on from
pocket?
there? Or like,
Well, it's interesting, and that's why I mentioned Facebook too, because it was like the beginning of social media. Everybody that I would paint something for, I would add them on Facebook, right? And then I would post all the stuff, and like they would like it, and like constantly be a reminder, like, hey, I'm here. You know?
dude, that's so
here.
smart. That was like,
Oh, it's
I remember
cool. You're
that-
visiting
that's
from
how- that's
Minnesota.
you
how-
had like the
Like,
best social media strategy ever. Like
That's
right at the
That's how I
beginning.
met Dave L.
So
Was
smart.
was he was at BC, and I remember I just stopped working for Quick, and I stopped working for Quick, and we were opening up the South Beach store.
Yeah.
And I always have this thing about going to malls and whatever, and just checking on other retail, what's going on, merchandising standards, blah blah blah.
Nerd alert.
And I super nerd alert. And I stopped in over at BC, and I think he was drawing, and I'm like, dude, this is kind of killer. I'm like, I would love to be able to have something to do with at our new surf shop on South Beach. We had just started.
Yeah,
And I remember he
that.
came and checked us out, and he's like, "Oh, absolutely, I'd love to do something." I think we did something with a couple skateboards and whatnot.
Yeah, some live painting events and stuff like that.
and it was
Crazy.
killer, and it was just killer to watch
So
him
fun.
just continuously grow and develop, and just like, it's so awesome watching people with talent just
Thank you,
grow
buddy.
anything. So it was pretty cool.
All right, so
But going
that
back to
happens so
commercializing.
like organic, and but I know that there is like these struggles that you go through while you're doing it.
There's
You're like-
struggles all the time.
So you're like, oh, I can get $10 a deck.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait a minute. Can I
The-
do
the most
when
I
was
ever
the, when's the next time? You're like, oh, if I did like a wall, I can get like $50. And it's like, oh, if I did like a canvas, like holy like
What was the
How
first-
do I
minute-
set the price?
Yeah,
Right,
all that.
right.
Like
How do you set the
it was
price?
funny.
That's so hard.
I remember Alex Yanis, who's like very well known artist in Miami. He comes into the shop one day and like it's so funny. I didn't know how to turn off the sales pitch of like, hey, let me paint your grip tape. Because sometimes I would talk to artists that are like very well known and like are awesome, and I'm just here like,
That's awesome.
I like to color. And so like people are
Those
coming in
numbers
that
in
are
here, and I
like
just put the
serious
colors in.
artists that skate and like surf and whatever. And like this was one of them, and I was painting like this character of mine that I called the Skulltopus. It's just like a skull with like tentacles for teeth, and then like all the tentacles of a regular octopus, right? But I'd always mess up the number. I'd do like 9 or like 6 and be like, it's 8. Don't worry about it. Give me the $10.
Sextopus.
Whoa.
Septopus. Either way.
That's in a movie.
Is it?
Finding Nemo 2. I love animated movies.
We are. Hey,
It's
listen, we are a kid-friendly show, so kids that are still up at 9:40.
Keegan's like falling
My
Oh,
watch
no.
is off. It says 6:30.
It's okay. He doesn't have school tomorrow.
So-
we're not in trouble.
It was just it was interesting because I create these characters and I would set those for more because like I was taking the time at home, even like touching them up, painting them, making them look nice, and be like, it's a $26 piece I got right here. I'm gonna write the price on the back, and I'd leave them on the skate counter. And like there were times that I have 30 sheets of painted grip tape that I do in like a week.
Oh, no
And
way.
people would come in
Well,
and
it's
be
strange
like,
because he'll
"Oh,
paint
that's
the grip
cool."
tape ahead of it being on the board.
That's so rad.
I'd order it in bulk.
I'd never even,
I'd
like, even heard
order
of
like a
anybody doing
100-foot roll of grip tape and just paint them in like
what
32
happened-
to like 38 inches.
How does that mess up your markers though? Like
Oh,
your
it's
grip,
insane.
Bro, I was gonna say,
I
grip tape's
found
not
a way
that
to
gentle.
be like so gentle.
Delicate, yeah.
Because I was like, these cost so much money.
Right.
You're using, like,
I need to
Posca
sell
pens
it
or
for
something?
more. Well, I started off with like somebody gave me like 2 Sharpie pens, and then eventually I got a sponsorship by
From
this
Board Sticks?
Board Sticks. So they would send
remember
me
that.
product, and I would advertise them basically. And this is it was cool because that was the beginning of Instagram at the
Right.
time.
Yep.
So Instagram started, and it's like, oh yeah, you got to use the camera within Instagram. But then like immediately I was like, no, I want to take my own photos and just post them whenever. And I was like, oh, I can do that. That's cool. Amazing. It doesn't have to be instant. so,
Sort of Instagram.
and like immediately when I started my Instagram, Board Sticks finds me and they like start sending me paint pens. So I was
No
like,
way.
oh, this is so awesome.
So
like,
awesome.
I have more colors than the purple and the magenta and the black and white. That's all I had. And no, now I'm starting to like graduate more to like surfboards, and people are actually commissioning pieces.
And let's
like,
reference this to surfing, that at that particular time, there was a lot of board work that was getting done from those types of markers and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like Lost was huge in that.
Lost was
Brophy
huge.
was huge
Drew
on that.
Brophy was like huge, and I mean during that time, I mean this is 2005, 2006. I get invited by WRV to go paint their boards at Surf Expo. I was like, yeah, this is
way.
how did they? Anyway, I'm not gonna ask too many
No.
questions.
No.
Like they're like,
Do you
yeah,
guys,
yeah,
do you
come
guys,
up.
do you guys
And
have
I'm
any
like-
paint pens? Because those are good. I like that.
And I called like one of the main guys. I'm like, hey Pat, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. I just like don't have money. Can you He's like, yeah, how much do you need? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have a car either. He's like, dude, what the hell? So we figured out.
They don't say struggling artist for no reason.
Yeah, and it's like, and I always say, like,
I
I'm
had
not a
4
starving
colors.
artist. I'm not a starving artist. I always eat, but I'm a struggling artist. Like, all of us are,
Right. Yeah.
And, like, you have to find a way. And there's, like, it's not just one way. I always thought, like, oh, this is it right here. I paint this table for you guys. Oh, that's it.
And that's it. You're set.
I'm set for life. And it's like, no, man. There's mugs. There's surfboards. There's apparel. There's murals. There's like so many things you could do as an artist. That's what I was saying earlier. Like, it's good as an artist. Great, actually, to adapt and like know the times you're living in. Like, make content. Keep creating content. Like, keep going.
So that's the name of the game
always
these
moving
days, huh?
forward. Yeah. And like, not overwork it either, because then you burn yourself out. It's more like just adaptation.
Right.
How do you know that? So you work for yourself essentially. I know Chris knows about this. I know about this, but how do you keep like that passion alive for what you're doing and not kill yourself to make the money, or vice versa?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, it's
hard.
It's interesting. When I first started, like BC here in Dolphin had shut down, and I was like, blessing in disguise, perfect. Full-time artist now in 2012. That's when I started the full-time thing, and I was like,
what did mom and dad think about that?
well, my dad was like, oh yeah, man, that's great. I was like, he's like, yeah, oh yeah, do it, man. That's awesome. But that's how my dad talks, and he's the best. Super positive.
Apparently his dad's Tony Montana. Just throw it out there.
Nah, he's way ahead of Tony. He taught Tony Montana everything,
Everything he knows.
except for like the weird
Yeah.
killing stuff.
Yeah. And the weird sister loving stuff too. That was-
Yeah, that was a little.
No one else like talks about that.
Actually, he has
in the
no
movie?
relation to him at all.
Yeah.
This mythical creature. So, and then my mom
He has some
was
good
like,
catchphrases though. I think it was just the catchphrases that you're
catchphrases.
Yes, good catchphrases.
And my mom.
He also
was
picked
like,
up with your
"David,
mom
I
by
don't
saying
know."
you kiss me if I wear the hat. That was it. And then the pelican thing too.
Fly,
maybe?
Pelican, fly.
El Pelicano has made a presence.
So mom and dad were cool. Wait,
No, my mom wasn't at all. But she's awesome and I love her.
Right.
She was like, no, David, like,
Mira pa' ahí. This isn't going to happen like this.
look, David, but like, why don't you get a job? I'm like, no, but I'm working on something big.
It's like half supportive
No,
that she
pero,
wants to be
like,
supportive of your work.
Why
but-
don't you get a job? And
Right.
then
The
after all
realistic
that,
part.
and I'm living under my mom's roof too, it's like very stressful, obviously. Like, I had like $600 a month in student loans. I was making minimum wage at the shop, so I'm bringing home every month like maybe $747. I say maybe because I know that number exactly. Forget what the change was, but I was like, whatever.
You got $150 to live on a month.
Yeah.
$147 and some odd cents.
And I was like pushing the grip tape sales, pushing like custom surfboards, and like finally started painting murals. And I'm like, Mom, I think this is like something that can work. And she's like, okay, like I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, but like, let's, just figure it out. And eventually, after like a few months, that same year, I started designing a mural tour throughout the U.S. Like I'd asked my older brother, who was in a punk band at the time, who was going on tour up the East Coast. I was like, hey, I'll help you guys sell merch. I'll create merch for you. I'll be your artist. I just want to travel. Like, I'll give you 50% of everything I sell too. And he's like, yeah, nah, you're just not really our style. And I was like, I get it. You guys are green hair and like dressed interestingly. And I'm just, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're right though, I'm not. And, but he was still super supportive.
I have a
It was
chain
my brother
wallet.
Hover.
I can get tips.
I can use the
And-
color green. It's fine.
Yeah, screw it. Whatever you want. Punk pink. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I have all these contacts on Facebook. I start searching for like friends in current cities. Like I started with Charleston, then like Philly, New York, Boston, Columbus, Ohio, Denver, Seattle, San Diego, LA, like Portland, Oregon, like all these places. And I basically sent everybody a custom elevator pitch via instant messenger. It's like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I painted your grip tape a long time ago, or I just met you. Doing a mural tour throughout the U.S. I would love to stop by and maybe crash at your place 1 or 2 nights in exchange for an original piece of art. And everybody said yes. I reached out to like probably 15 people.
Turns out I'm gonna be an artist, you guys. So if all you guys want me to sleep on your couch, I am going to steal his pitch.
And it was awesome.
Learn how to paint grip tape.
I
How
toured
long
around
was
the
that little
US.
I've got magenta and purple and
40
black.
That's all you apparently need.
I think it was like 42 days total on the road. And I started the tour. I had a kickoff party, started like a Kickstarter.
How old were you at the time?
No one's really
I
crazy though.
was
So all this is
26.
so turned on, perfect like business stuff. Like
It was awesome.
If someone could like go back in time, 2020, hindsight, the whole thing, they would tell you to do all that stuff.
And
You
it
know,
was
like,
interesting 'cause-
Facebook's coming out. You need to get on that. Instagram's coming out. You need to get on that. These pens are coming out. You need to get on that.
Whatever
You should travel.
You need to
should
travel.
travel, man.
Show other
You
people
know all
your
that
work.
stuff you did on Facebook? You should use that now. It's like
It was
Dude,
so
smart.
fun. And like I was basically, I
Very
didn't know it at
organic
the
though, you know?
time, but I was like planting seeds in all these cities and like starting to learn hashtags on Instagram. Like, like what's going on in Charleston tonight would be like a hashtag.
Yes.
And like people would search it and like come find me like, dude, I found you because of this weird hashtag that I don't know what's gonna work, but like I guess I'll buy something now. I'm like, that's amazing. I'll sell it to
Because
you.
the two other posts that were under that hashtag were just not cool.
It just was not cool.
They're like
enough.
this third one with this epic painting. I like this
sick.
guy.
I don't know.
hashtag that's awesome.
Yeah, and it was just really fun, really inspiring. There were a lot of times that I was like, all right, I got $170 and I'm driving 12 hours today. Let's figure it out. And on that drive, I'll never forget, I like stopped in like a huge, like super Walmart in the middle of the Midwest, and I was like, I'm not gonna go in there, but I need to reorganize the car because if I would slam on the brakes, a painting would hit me in the back of the head. Like it was so packed in there. So I was like, all right, let me get it together. And I start like moving paintings all around the car, and like they're all over this like hearse-looking car I had, which was a Dodge Magnum.
Oh, I know that
I
car.
love
Yeah.
that. Dude, when that car
made
came
it-
out, I really wanted that car bad.
My dad was like, oh yeah, they were, hey, do you want this car? I'm like, yeah, you know what I do? He's like, all right, and he said, tuna. Like, okay. And I tuned it up, and it was mine. And the first
That's
thing I
all
did
it
was
took?
drive around
Did
the
your dad say he
country.
just needed some tuna? That's it.
So,
I can give your
so
dad a tuna. Do I get a charger? in return?
at that freaking Walmart / McDonald's / Taco Bell / like any horribly fast food.
A&W and a car belt.
Yeah,
I know.
actually.
I know the franchise.
You
yeah.
know these Midwest
These are
things. Jack's or what's
Jack
it?
in the Box.
Jack in the Box.
Keegan, welcome back, Keegan.
I ended up selling two
Just woke
pieces
up.
from the parking lot. People were like I had my elevator pitch like on lock, you know. It's
What-
like, oh,
I'm
from
just-
Miami, I'm currently on a mural tour. It's called the Art is Love Tour, and like I'm just kind of trying to, I'm figuring out a way to
Amazing.
make a living as an artist. And people would be like, well, I'll buy you a thing, or I'll buy a thing off of you. And by thing I mean painting. And yeah, it was awesome because now I had a chunk of change in my pocket. Made it to Denver. I was like,
I just imagine a bunch of Midwest women like, Miami boy, I buy a thing off you. Like, that's not what I'm selling. That's not what I'm selling.
No, the art
The
is
art.
there. But yeah, it was
Pull on
really
my shirt.
interesting. Like, and I do live paintings. Like, I'll never forget in Philly, they were like, yeah, it's a city of brotherly love. And the first night we go to this bar, they're like, dude, that's the mayor. And the mayor's walking in with like, you know, Secret Service and stuff. I was like, wow, that's cool. First time in Philly, that's the mayor. I was like, hey, David Lavernia, nice to meet you. Just high-fived him. I was like, that's a start to an amazing night.
Like, you want to do the slides of the own thing,
I'm
and run up
painting at
the steps later. We can do it together and rocking.
Next thing you know,
I remember
so
like
fun.
starting to tell him where I was gonna paint live that night. He's like, all right, nice to meet you. It's like, oh,
Oh, so you're here for the photo op? Okay,
cool. Can I get a photo? No. All right.
bye bye.
Took a photo of
Thanks
him.
for coming though.
thanks for the love, brother.
No, it was cool. I
Crazy.
painted like a huge heart, like kind of abstract, very colorful. And this guy pulls up in a pickup truck, like, hey, I want to buy that for my wife. And the wife's sitting there like, sorry, I've thrown a lot of thumbs up today. She didn't even do that. It's like, yeah, I want the painting. It's like, okay, I'll sell it to you for money. They're like, all right. I like sold it to this guy for like the cash he had on him. I was just like, this
Alright,
is
so this
awesome.
is the crazy.
You shook him down. You're like, what you got?
Well, this is what I like to know about selling artists, because a lot of my friends that like are getting into some sort of creative work, photography, painting, whatever the hell it is. it's like, how do you know what to ask? How do you even know to ask? I think a lot of people that
That's
I come
the
across
best
that are
question,
creative
right?
are like,
It,
no, I just want to do it, and then I want someone to come up to me, tap me on the shoulder, and say, I love what you've done. I'd like to fund your lifestyle via the creative juices that you have flowing through your veins.
that's
and
like
just,
a 0.5% of the world.
I know.
But
God,
people
that'd be
look for that,
that'd be
right?
Such
But
a dream.
people look for that because, and that's a difficult part about
I
being
think
an
it
artist.
was
It's
just
like
like-
you get in that dream state.
if
You're
you're
like,
like in the Renaissance days, you had it.
oh,
You just had like the Medici family, just go ahead and be like, yeah.
So
the whole
Michelangelo-
chapel thing there.
Or if you had a record deal in the 80s.
Is that like that too?
Yeah.
Yep.
Keegan, get on mic here. Come on, you can't hear
What do
you.
you know about the 80s?
What do you know about the 80s or the Renaissance for this
Nothing
matter?
about the 80s, but when they built the chapels during the Renaissance time, they all did it for free. They didn't do it for money.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
Okay,
they did
but
it
let me
for
tell you
religious
something.
Purpose.
let me drop some knowledge on you real quick.
There you go.
So Michelangelo, right? You read about him.
This guy, Michelangelo, you know him?
You know him? Oh. So there it goes. I told you it was
Yes,
gonna happen.
yeah.
I'm just gonna try to hold myself
Hey,
back. I just
listen.
can't help it.
Listen, there's a couple of New Yorkers in the house here.
Hey, so this guy. So Michelangelo, in a lot of history books and a lot of different stories, they show him as like, oh, this poor artist. He never had money and like struggled throughout his life.
He had
No.
so much money.
He has the equivalent of like billions nowadays.
Yeah.
He had equivalent of like billions.
But he was like under the Medici family, and they were just he was on the payroll, right?
Well, it was that too, but he would charge like insane amounts of money. And what he would do is he would like just show up to an event he wasn't invited to, right? Like where all the nobles were, and like just roll up and be like, "Hi, I'm Michelangelo.
Taking
I'll
notes
paint
over here."
things for you. I'll sculpt little
Gangster.
pieces for you, like that. Guerrilla marketing. That guy was a G. Michelangelo, the man. So like, there's a lot to learn from like the masters.
So
like,
he was
they're
just like,
oh yeah, that's
he was just
like
straight
awesome.
hustling, is what you're saying.
100%, and so were a lot of the artists at the time. They're like,
Every
"Oh,
day
poor
I'm
this guy."
hustling.
Like, no,
Every day I'm
that guy would go to a
hustling.
bar and like hustle his bar tab because he drew something on a napkin, which is worth a lot of money now. But like back then, you're like, dude, seriously, no, it's like $12 for
Yeah.
your tab. It's like
Shillings.
that's the bartender.
Just randomly ended.
Yeah, that means we passed now. Start again.
Okay, cool.
Bartender, another round.
Keep it going. Come on.
Another round.
Round two.
Well, those are our indicators. It gives us an
So-
understanding where we're at.
Look at his old business cards.
Welcome back,
Martina.
Martina.
Here we go.
And we're back.
And we're back. I talked.
Welcome
Ladies and
back.
gentlemen, we were off on a commercial break.
We just had to
you
switch
to our
the album
sponsors.
from side A to side B.
Next up,
Scratch resistant.
So
I'm gonna title it Top Story Post Commercial Break.
there
that's
you
good,
go.
Keegan. We'll take it. Thank you.
Take it from the top.
So yeah, so the whole idea of getting the money
So
for the art is the thing that
I mean, I
Kinda
remember
blows my
asking
mind.
that question so many times when I was started, and I mean, even like more recently in the past like 2-3 years, it's like, man, I don't know what price to put on this painting, and I'd consult my friends, and everybody says the same thing.
I
and
feel
now
like
I say,
photographers have some of that same challenge as
Yeah,
well.
what do they say?
any kind of artist, any artist, like obviously you have to recoup your materials and then like your labor, but only you can set that price.
Right.
The only person that could set your value is yourself, right? Like you could have a manager, sure, that's great, but you have to tell that manager your worth. Just like anything, like negotiating your salary at a job, right? Like you're like, okay, I feel like
yeah, but
if I
that's a
put
lot.
this time-
That's like a lot easier. You can go on a website like Glassdoor.com and be
Right.
like, I am a marketing manager with 3 years experience, and they'd be like, your range is $45,000 to $58,000 depending on your location. What location are you in? Sign up for premium, and we'll tell you exactly what your salary should be.
Sign
And
up
you know
for
what?
premium.
That thing is
for
actually
me,
pretty
murals,
close.
Pandora
murals
gets me all the
are
time.
the like I have a formula for charging for murals, right?
do?
Yeah.
Don't
It's-
say it unless you want to.
No, I charge
Uh,
a daily rate.
Listen,
I used to charge by square footage, but what happens
Uh-huh.
is, like, you'll charge by square footage. I'm talking to you, artists. You'll charge by square footage, but then what happens is, like, you finish the piece, it's like, awesome, and the client is stoked. They call you back the next day, like, hey, this one section, kind of wish it wasn't teal anymore. I wish it was orange. And by the way, can
Change
you add a-
order. Can do
you
it.
add a
Costs
turtle?
more.
Also, over here, can you add this? And it's like, okay, but you already charged for the whole piece. Like, so, I mean, it's like, if you didn't add that in the original contract, it's like, what are you to
This
do?
is more
like,
work.
are there contracts?
Yeah, you need to have contracts.
Okay, I'm
I mean,
just-
and,
I'm
like,
not
a
sure
lot of
how
artists
formal
don't,
does it
and
get?
you keep it. Let's say with like friends of mine, I keep it casual. Like, all right, look,
Right.
I'll do this.
Right.
Here's a sketch. Cool, we're good. All right, awesome. You know, and it's a verbal contract, which.
But you
doesn't
still
hold
have
up.
probably a lot spelled out in your verbal contract. Like, look, I'm gonna show up on Saturday. This one, this Saturday, to do this. Is that okay?
Tomorrow, yeah.
And they're like, oh, this Saturday, yeah, it doesn't work. Like, okay, never mind then. This is it.
Exactly.
You know, like
So-
you have to spell it out.
But like, let's say when you do more like commercial work, like you have to have a contract because it's like.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
rights
there's-
involved.
Like I
You
did
get
a
1099
huge
at the same
piece
time as
for ESPN, which is owned by Disney.
Boop, 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 boop.
Oh, now we're gonna get pulled from.
Oh,
Video
I'm pretty on tune too.
ended.
Yeah.
That was good.
Deactivated.
Yeah, the whole account's gonna get shut down.
Oh man,
The
my
show's
I'm
over
like,
with
boo,
already.
boo, boo,
Oh, there it
boo,
goes.
boo, boo, boo. There we go. That's what I meant to say the
All right,
first
bring in the
time.
show- Since it's getting console, bring in the showgirls.
So
It's
I mean,
fine.
with them, I
Baby
had to
sharks.
set up.
Do,
I had
do,
to
do.
set up
Do,
like
do,
my
do.
own contract because they had their terms,
Good
but then I
recovery.
wanted to share mine too. Obviously, like I have my terms that I didn't agree with like plenty of theirs,
Yeah.
so I had my buddy who's an attorney. I was like, hey, hook it up, whatever.
Right. So that's another thing that I think is really important is to ask for the help if you need it, because there is
Like
people out
not
there.
having shame for asking
Right.
for help. Like as an artist, it's so difficult.
You're an artist,
because-
not an attorney.
exactly,
I
and
would
I'm not
never,
an accountant
I would
either.
never come to you for legal advice. I
Don't do
may
it.
come to you for aesthetic advice, for creative and things like
What
these.
color should I paint my door? Oh, dude, I got you. However,
You know, or like,
how do I reply to this email like this? How you? I don't know.
yeah.
I don't do emails.
Just don't curse. No caps.
My brother does.
Uh-oh. That's actually good advice. I should probably follow that.
Grammar police. I'm a semi-professional amateur.
Me too.
Grammar.
I'm a
Professionalist.
semi-professional amateur.
So,
but it sorry.
no, keep going.
No, it's just interesting, like creating your own terms and like still being passionate about the work too. Because when it's your terms, like the client will obviously be happy because you're under contract to complete the work, and you're stoked because it's your terms and it's your.
You know what I
piece.
think you're missing out of that? Is that somewhere along the way you gain confidence
Oh,
about
100%.
your terms. And that's what I think changes the equation entirely. Like, I know I do this in my work too. If you say, this is how I work, and they go, he must know what he's doing because he's telling me how he works.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and then they just fall into your program and they're like, so what do we do next? And you're like, okay, so the first thing we do is I'll have a meeting with you and I'll go through like some ideas that I've had. And the next thing we do is I'll go through and I'll give you a sketch of what I was thinking. We can go and approve that. And then after that, I'll go and do this. And
We'll
then I
do
do
a
this.
couple of revisions if needed,
Right.
you know, and that's part of like the language in a contract too.
Like, because you know it so well. And you're confident
Yeah,
that that's how
but
you
let's
do
say
it.
when I first started, it's like
Good luck, right?
my first bureau I got from BC. This like family walks in, the kid wants like a Ninja Turtle on a skateboard. I was like, I probably won't get in trouble. Paint it. And then the mom's like, hey, I'm opening up. Sorry, she's very much Tonga and I love
I
it.
love the chongas.
She had like very long fake nails, and she couldn't
Hoop
use
earrings?
her brand new iPhone. It was awesome.
Big hoop earrings.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Did you have
spelled,
the-
spelled someone's name?
The spirals glued down.
Oh, that's
Sharpie.
that is
Actually,
tremendo
Sharpie
chonga.
I didn't get a side profile.
Right, but that is tremendo
from up
chonga.
front,
A little
that
bit
thing was
younger on the
slicked
chonga,
back.
but tremendo.
Sharpie.
I could see,
Sharpie.
I could see my reflection in her hair gel. It was pretty sweet.
Ooh, I love that.
That's a lie. But
that's a lie.
she's like, I'm opening up this place in Coral Gables. That's like a boys and girls club, and it's like a day spa. And I was like, but like the boys want to go to day spa? And she's like, no, the boys have video games and pool. It's like, oh, cool. She's like, I want you to paint the boys side. I was like, all right, cool. So I walk up and she's like, I want Nintendo characters and like Ninja Turtles and all this stuff. I was like, oh, yeah,
That
that's
was the
great.
best way to pronounce Ninja Turtles ever.
Ninja
Ninja.
Turtles. Like the teenage ones.
Like the teenage ones.
That's so good.
So I have no clue what I'm doing, by the way. I just like, luckily I went to Home Depot, like bought a bunch of paint because it's so much cheaper than going to an art store. Although I love going to the art store for the very good acrylics nowadays.
Art snob.
So I go and I start, and I'm like, yeah, just 500 $50, I tell the lady. And she's like, oh, great, for like all the walls? And I was like,
Jeez.
yeah. And she's like, okay. And I was like, sweet. And I start working
Thinking
and
you
I
went up
start
there.
painting. After like 8 hours, I'm like, oh my God, I'm still in the same section. Oh no. It took me like 2.5 weeks. Went completely out of pocket to the point that the lady's husband gave me like another $500 because he felt sorry for me. And I was still out of pocket, you know, like, and that day I learned, I was like, okay, do the math ahead of time.
They're like leaving plates of
Figure it
water
out.
and food
Yeah,
out.
and then
for you.
also like know your limit. Like, don't tell people like you're gonna paint a portrait of their child on the wall when you knowingly cannot complete that.
Right. Under promise, over deliver.
That's the other end.
That's a good
Those
policy.
days, excuse me, those like 18 very long days. Oh, and also I didn't have a car at the time, so I was either skating there, which was like 5 miles from my house,
Jesus.
with paint and brushes. It was insane. I was really in shape. No, it's like
Listen, there is nothing
I got a
that's
car
gonna
now, obviously.
there is nothing
but
that's gonna build integrity more within
it was
you
bad.
than,
In
than
middle of
that.
the summer in Miami, I'd wake up at like 7, skate down A Street.
Right, Keys?
He's ready.
I would skate down A Street all the way to Gables from 87th Avenue, like really far, right? Like 4.5, 5 miles a
Yeah,
day.
that's a good distance.
Yeah, then they'd feel bad for me, so always give me a ride back home during rush hour. So it was like, they were amazing clients, you know, and I told them, like, hey, this is my first mural. And they're like, no problem, we just want the art. It's such a great deal. I was like, yeah, it really is.
Yeah, but seriously, can I get
But
someone
I
else to go get
learned
those
so
on me?
much. I remember, like, writing notes.
Thank
Hey,
you.
you're the best.
Later, boy.
Good luck swimming tomorrow.
Have fun.
Thanks for everything. Intern Keegan is out. He's got early water polo practice. He's been surfing all day, school, swim practice, and water polo.
Full day.
So
About that Grom life.
that Grom life.
Oh, man, that's a fun life. Enjoy it.
Keep it up.
Look at me now.
Keeks,
I mean,
thanks so much for coming, man. Appreciate it.
So it's an interesting thing understanding where you've come from, or the things that have inspired you to allow for you to get to up to this point.
Right.
The mathematical business side of it. Where do you want to go from here? What as far as that dream scenario? I mean, are you living it? Are you doing it, or is there more? Is there something that you say, hey, this is what I
there,
really want
another
to kind of
level
go
to
for?
go to? Or?
Always. It's
Really?
so
Because I think
interesting.
that's a thing that I ask a lot of people in my consulting. I'm like, what do you want to do? And sometimes their answer is like, well, pretty much what I'm doing, but just like a little bit like less trouble to me. I'm like,
Yeah, more
oh.
streamlined.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And some people are like, no, like bigger, better, more. I'm like,
Right.
oh, okay, that's cool too. But you gotta know that.
Yeah, I mean that's part of growing as like an artist, you know, like knowing what you like and knowing what you really don't like, and like
In life too, I think, right?
and being honest about that. Yeah. Same with anything, like let's say a relationship, like knowing what you like in someone and knowing what you despise, like avoiding what you despise, going with what you like, and like figuring
Sounds
out the
easy
rest.
enough.
Sounds easy on paper or
Right.
like
Yeah.
you know, verbally, but that's part of growing too. Like you have to be able to like take those hits and be like, okay, let me like scale back, let me figure it out and like plan out my dream scenario. So part of what I do is like on a job where I really like I screwed the pooch on this one, like let me figure out how to not do this next time. I'll write that down. Or like, why is this frustrating now? Let me figure that out too. So eventually you start hitting these like dream jobs that you're like, oh, this is perfect. Like coming up soon at the Surfing Florida Museum, which I'm really hyped about.
All right, so let me
It's-
stop you there for a second. As a consultant, this is called, or for salespeople, it's qualifying your prospect.
Qualifying your prospect.
And so what you've been able to do over time through hard knocks is decide these are the questions to ask to know if they're going to be good or not. These are the ones that I'm like, oh, these are the psychos. And they can
Do
they
not
can
wanna
be,
go into business.
and they could be not psychos to another like provider, and like other people can get along just fine. But it's
Well, that's part of it too. Like
Right.
your relation with a client. Like the first meeting will tell you a lot.
Right.
And I've gotten much better at like even reading body language. I'm like,
Yeah, something's not right.
they don't like me, or like I like them, they don't like me. They really like me too much. Like it's gonna get weird. Like, because
Yeah, all
you'll
that
get your
stuff.
fans and they'll be like, hey, what are you doing later? It's like
Cable guy style, huh?
but it's fine too. And like I love hanging out with people. Like I love being like active in my community, but at the same time it's like it's kind of tricky to like balance like your actual like life and your business as an artist. You know, and like, you know, being born and raised Miami and then like into the surf and skate scene, like where I started, it's always interesting coming back to my roots and like see what's going on, like what's happening with you guys. Like, you hit me up earlier, you want to be on the show? I said yes, of course. But I mean, part of my dream, and getting back to that, sorry I'm all over the place
No.
because of my
Welcome to my
ADD.
world.
Part of my dream is like definitely having like a storefront / gallery and like workspace, you know, and that's what I've been working towards for a while now, and I'm like really focusing on that. And at this part of my life, like I want to keep my roots in Miami. It's where I'm from. I'm like very proud to be from Miami, and I love it so much, even though like I got a little upset driving over here a couple times, but that's just normal because it's Miami. You know.
Part of the charm. Part of the
It's
charm.
beautiful.
Uber,
So,
I love
but I mean, that's like part of my dream right now, and like following my dream, it's like continuing. Like I've always wanted to travel as an artist, and it keeps happening. Like going to Africa soon, like South Africa and Zimbabwe. Like I got a big commission out there, so I'm going for like 3 or 4 weeks to just like.
That's awesome.
It's only gonna take me 3 or 4 days to paint the actual mural I'm being commissioned for, but they're like, no, we're taking you to Victoria Falls. You're going on safari holiday. We'll take you to Cape Town. Do you surf? I was like, yeah.
Do you like animals? Yes.
Yes.
Do you like wine? Yes. Do you
Please.
like surfing? Yes.
Just
Yes.
everything.
Yes, all of it. Bring it.
I will
Food,
take off
yes,
work.
yeah.
I don't care. Actually, it's my own business. So,
But you are taking off work. That's an interesting
Yeah.
point because you think that way. You know, like, you're
Yeah.
like, it's okay, I can not work for these things. But it's like,
But you're going there for work.
but I'm going there forward.
you know what I mean?
So it's
But
just like
it's a weird responsibility to yourself. You know, like
because you have to make sure everything's taken care of
Right.
before you take off. That's like it's
Well,
part
you
of like
do
an
because you're
interest-
responsible.
No, I'm not.
Maybe
but like
at this
I'm
point in
trying
your
to be.
life.
I think that's also the beautiful thing about
At
this.
this point in my life.
About this artistry being a source of work or income is that we see across, and we've discussed this a couple of times, that, you know, across the board, people and how they're working isn't within those 4 square corners of what life was considered as working, right? Your mom saying, well, you should probably get a real job, so to speak, right?
And
But
paid.
meanwhile, you can make money, if not really good money, and do it on your terms accordingly. And it's not that it's easy. You've seen the trials and tribulations
Oh,
and the struggle
100%.
going through that.
Yeah.
But it's continued to develop and make you who you are now, to allow for you to make the better decisions and to get the better pieces, the better commissions, and to maybe not work as hard. You said recently you brought your brother on to help you on with
Which is a godsend. It's been so
because you
awesome.
acknowledge, listen, there's things that I like, there's things I don't like.
Yeah,
right.
like
And you're,
I don't like to even just open up my calendar and add a meeting. So he does it for me.
right.
And I love him for it.
Right.
Thanks.
But that helps.
But
That
that's
helps you be you. That allows
Exactly.
you to
And
do
it's-
you.
And it's a breath of fresh air.
Right.
And even like going back to my mom telling me like get a job and still paint. Like every artist I know that's starting off that hits me up, they're like, hey, what do I do? Should I just pursue it full time? I'm like, no. When people ask you what you do, like you might be working part-time at a retail or even full-time or like whatever, just to pay your bills. But when people ask you what your job is, make sure you always tell them you're a full-time artist, even though you work full-time at a store or like as a bank teller, like whatever it may be, you're always a full-time artist. Actually, Drew Brophy taught me that at Surf Expo.
That's a good one.
Because I was working at the shop full-time, 40 hours a week or more, I don't even know. Still making not a lot. And
Welcome to retail.
hey, another thumbs up. Funds. So
Fonz, you haven't given 2 up at the same time yet. Hey.
hello. So first time I go to paint at Surf Expo, as I was saying like way earlier in the show, I go and see Drew Brophy painting. I'm like, oh hey, I love your work. I'm also an artist. He's like, oh cool. Like, is that your full-time thing? I'm like, no, I work at a surf shop and I paint. He's like, no.
Edit that comment.
And he like closes his marker. He's like, "Let me tell you something." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
I love
and he's
it.
like,
This
"You
is-
are
this
a
is
so good.
full-time
This is
artist."
where the tradition gets passed on. This is that.
How
that
do you
knowledge.
tell
How do you
everybody
pick that out of
gets-
you though? Like that's like, because I feel like a lot of guys, girls, whatever, that if they get to that point, they're kind of like, "Yeah, keep moving, kid," you know, that kind of thing.
it was awesome. Like he had just started painting this like huge paddleboard. I can't even tell you the size. And he's like just sketching it out. I'm like, I know he has a lot of work. I was walking by and I kept walking like, "Hey, nice to meet you." Like I felt like I was shrinking in size, you know, because I was just like being a fangirl basically. Yeah,
know,
turned
yeah.
into a girl all of a sudden. And,
We all
he's
get those
like, "Oh,
fan
hey, no,
moments.
come on." And he was like, he took the time of day. We spoke for like a while, like probably an hour. And he's like giving me all these tips, and I was just like, he's like, "You don't have your portfolio? You don't have business cards?" Like, all right, look, just do these things. And next Surf Expo, I come back with business cards and portfolio. He's like, "That's awesome. I remember you from last
No
year's
way,
expo."
that's so cool.
So like
that's
every
what's great
expo,
is how thankful you are, and then at the same time how inspired he is, because it's like it's that torch, it's that passing of the knowledge and stuff. Like
And you know
that.
what's crazy? I saw you doing the same thing at Expo. last
Oh
time.
yeah, that's
I
right.
saw-
I saw you guys in
So
January.
we were like creeping a little bit past, and I saw like some little kids come by. Not even like little kids; they're like teenage kids.
Yeah.
But like you can tell they're artistically inclined, and they are totally like in awe that there was a guy doing this for his living, and they were like, "I go to art school," you know, like big lump in their throat kind of thing.
I don't want to interrupt.
You know,
Yeah,
and,
I
and
did
you
that.
and you put everything down, and you're like, "These are the markers I'm using. This is the stuff I'm using," and showed them around. I was like,
engaged.
"You know, this guy,
It's
you passed
important.
it on really.
It's
like,
important,
it was so
and
evident.
being able to like accept that and not shut people out is really important, especially when there's an artist that's inspired. Like, it's terrifying. Your first time going up to an artist that you know, you're like, "Man, he's doing the detail thing," and then you're just like. And you're waiting so long that you just go, "Hey!" And it's like, oh,
God, it was totally
is all I was
uncool in this
Not
first
the-
moment.
not
yeah.
the intro that I was hoping
right,
for.
in your mind, it's like such a dream, cool moment, like
and
going
right
on.
after
and
you just say, "I'm sorry," and like I don't know, at Surf Expo it kept happening that people would be like, "Hey, I'm sorry," it's
And you're like,
"No,
"Sorry
no,
for
don't be
what?"
sorry.
It's fine, yeah.
Hey, relax.
That's cool. It was
That's
really
why
cool
I'm
to see you
lightheaded
doing
when
it
I'm
that, like
painting
that.
live. but it's really inspiring to me too. Like if you have knowledge, like share it. You know, like I have certain techniques or certain inks that I mix that I use for like outlines on larger murals, and I share my recipe all the time for that, because it's like, what's the point of like keeping this secret? It's like either way, it's a different
I know.
artist. Like it's not like, I don't know, it's not gonna go anywhere. Like
There's a different you, there's a different you, there's a different you. They're each individuals within themselves, built with so many different variables of coming from so different places. And
Yeah.
within that, our experiences and what we do and what we know molds us to be who we are and how we are, allowing for us to have each one of our individual
This is the big close.
opportunities to kind of do stuff. Currently, are there companies out there that are supporting what you're doing?
yeah, several, which I'm really happy about.
What you got?
Lululemon, Visla. Visla's been really helping me out a lot. Board sticks. Man, there's like a lot of them actually that
That's
are
awesome.
like really, yeah, they take care of me, and it's awesome because I'm like, I wouldn't think to buy that right now. I mean, I will eventually, but like, this
Well, I did notice the pretty cool Visla threads on you, which is, and I appreciate the fact that you're wearing an Aloha shirt on Friday, because it is Aloha Friday. Apparently, Marvin didn't get the memo.
I got like 3 Aloha shirts, and I've worn them all on the show already. So
we got to get this man hooked
Yes.
up.
I gotta get more Aloha
Absolutely.
shirts.
So
But yeah,
I got plenty of
other
Aloha.
bigger projects.
yes,
Not so many
all
shirts.
All Aloha.
Well, I guess
More
Visla,
Aloha, less shirts.
Visla recognized the innovator and creator in you.
Yeah, and it's we've been having a lot of meetings lately, which is great.
That's awesome. Well, it's a great
Yeah.
company to be with.
Yeah,
we've
Those
really-
guys were super dope.
Yeah,
I really
and
like
we've
hanging out with those guys.
we've really appreciated their support out of this store.
So
as well.
they're the ones that got me involved with the Surfing Florida Museum in West Palm Beach.
Oh, no.
So I'm working with them to create an innovative, creative space.
Yeah, Dimitri, good on you, mate. Good
That
on
was smart.
you. Paul Noldi, good on you.
That was a terrible accent.
I know, I was trying to go for this Southern African accent, but I can't do it. It's
Brew.
horrible.
You gotta say brew.
Brew.
Yeah, if you said brew like 3 more times, you didn't find.
Brew, brew, and brew.
Okay, good. That was good. Now it was good. You know what that means?
Nailed it.
That means it's time
We're
to
closing
end the
things
show.
down. And my South African accent's getting
When
bad,
the
so we gotta
South
close
African
it.
Like this
accent
or
doesn't
like
land, it is time to leave the show. Episode 32 in the books. It is August 31st.
Ladies and gentlemen, hold on. Let's go ahead and throw some shout outs to Dave out here.
Yeah,
Dave, where people can be able to find your stuff?
Yeah.
On my Instagram.
And we'll put it on the
It'll be in the
ThankYouSurfing.com. We'll put a link to it on there. And
It'll
then,
be in the notes.
and the
wherever
notes and the
you're
pod.
watching or listening
I'll
to
be in the
this.
notes. Made
Check
it.
the notes.
Great
Yeah.
stuff here. Bradley, walk
If you're
us out
watching the
here
video,
while
you're
I dance.
seeing pictures of his.
Do we have
right
the
now.
shark song?
Oh, God.
I always said
Can you dial that back
Should I
in
have
for
it
us?
queued up?
I love those sharks. Again,
Thank you, everyone.
Episode 32, August 31st. Caleb, thanks. Keegan, good night. Good luck tomorrow.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Dave, Chris, awesome. Thanks for being
Thanks,
here.
guys. Appreciate it.
Miguel, studio audience, what's
Hey, everybody. Ah.
up? Catch you guys next week. Episode 33.